All right, it is show time. What's going on, everyone? And welcome to a special week here at 27 Outs. And when I say week, for those of you who were here last week, I hope you guys remember, but we did in fact tell you guys, and here's the friendly reminder that we were coming at you guys with two brand new shows this week, obviously beginning with tonight being the first one. I, of course, am Ivan, as always, alongside Stefan. Some things have happened since the last time you guys saw us here last week. There was certain deals that we thought would have taken place by now, but still, those are up in the air. But as you can tell by the title of tonight's video, we have a lot to get into. Obviously, the Guardians and them being what seems like they're deeply involved with sports betting and all that. Aaron Judge and the Yankees scuffling, and then Judge being down is obviously not good. The Tigers, who I told Stefan earlier today, prior to their win yesterday, I know they're also winning their game right now, but they were on a 6-game losing streak. So we're going to dissect all of that and more. There's also something else that we found out earlier today that we couldn't squeeze into the title or the description because things were just already long enough as it is, right? But you know how we do here. We talk about what you see in the title, and then we talk about a whole lot more. So shout out to all of you who are here early. Thank you guys for stopping by. Stefan, how are you feeling? We have a lot to get into, not only tonight, but this week as well. As I mentioned, 2 shows. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready as I'm going to be, brother. If you saw my picture before the show on Instagram, we were in the middle of trying to find out, what's next. And so if you see me look to the left, I got the iPad sitting right here. I got the email up. I got the Twitter notifications. I got the phone right here. So if something were to break, I'm there. But
that's a good disclaimer, because I know for those who are going to stop by at some point later in the show, they're going to be like, yeah, what is Stefan glancing at over there? Because he's not even focused on what we're talking about, what Ivan's talking about. So as he said, folks, your Sox fan for life. Rick, shout out to you guys. We see you guys already here.
Yo.
Appreciate the love early. But yeah, as Stefan said, if you see him, kind of dozing off for a couple minutes, is because things are getting interesting.
Right.
And the world of trade deadlines and Major League Baseball. But tonight is the night, bro. Where would you like to start? We've had some conversations about all of the things that we want to get into, but let's start with the very first thing.
Let's start with some breaking news. Speaking of breaking news, because that's what we do here, right? Hit that breaking news thing for me real quick, bro. Let's start with some breaking news. So
how can I find it? They like switched up. Sorry, guys. Here it is. I found it. They switched up the look at him. I got you, bro. I got you.
So here's what we got. We got Eugenio Suarez left the game in the top of the 9th inning after getting hit with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So let's set this up. What does that mean? That means now that his potential trade candidacy could have just gone up in smoke with one pitch that gone awry. Now, he didn't even try to stay in the game. The trainer came out. He pressed on the hand, and Suarez looked like he wanted to punch the trainer in the face. So, with that being said, this trade deadline just went from, this could be a doozy, to we don't even know if Suarez is going to get traded now. Because we don't know what this hand's going to look like. We don't know if he has any broken bones, because here's the one thing I do know. There's a lot of small bones in the hand. And when somebody says, here's 95 right at your, upper hand, that's not good. So this is literally just happened before we came on the air. Literally like 15 minutes before we came on the air, I sent it to you. You saw it. And your first reaction was, holy crap. Like, what the hell? And
wrong time for something like that to happen.
And I'm going to propose something. This show is going to be full of controversial takes. So if you like the juicy stuff, pull up a chair and let's get to it. If I am running a team and I know I have somebody like Eugenio Suarez who I am about to trade, you're not playing for the next 48 to 72 hours because I can't risk you getting hurt. Because now there goes their meal ticket There goes the guy that was going to net you the type of return that was going to make it worth for you to trade him. Because here's the reality: if you're selling, you ain't playing for nothing. You ain't playing for nothing. So I'm going to say something that's a little disrespectful, but quite frankly, it needs to be said. Eugenio Suarez should not be playing in games this week until he's traded.
Right.
Because not only that, you still have to pass a physical. You still have to go through the medicals. Now, if he does get traded and they don't like what they see on the x-rays or they don't like what they see with his hand, there goes that trade.
Mm-hmm.
And so while it may sound like, oh, that's hyperbolic, how you going there? I'm going to tell you right now, this is the type of thing that if I'm an executive or if I'm a general manager or if I'm somebody looking to acquire him, I have second thoughts now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, listen, I'm hoping for the best, especially, not only with Suarez possibly being on the move to now go play for an actual contender, but just simply for the season that he's having, right? One thing that you shared previously, Stefan, was the fact that had Suarez been playing elsewhere, he'd be in the conversation for National League MVP with the way he's been performing. So I'm hoping for the best because, yeah, if I'm the Diamondbacks and they get good news, which obviously we're all hoping for, whether you're a Diamondbacks fan, a Suarez fan, or just a baseball fan, period, you're hoping that it's good news. And the Diamondbacks need to just, listen, hope for the best. And if you do get the news you're looking for, just simply sit him down. Listen, he's still available. Just come correct, but he's not going to be playing between now and honestly, Thursday night.
I don't think you lose rhythm in 2 days. If he loses rhythm, that's the risk you take. At least you got a healthy player.
Right.
I'm not doing that. Because now, look, now if his hand is broken, you can't trade him. You can't trade him. And this is why if it were me, I'm calling out to the dugout like, yo, we're playing the Tigers. They're going to smoke us. We don't need these games. Our season's done.
Could you imagine? Sorry, I just had a random thought. I got to ask you this now. Could you imagine? Listen, and I don't want to start the whole conspiracy thing and, Ivan's on 27 outs creating shit out of nothing. But I'm just saying, though, like the Tigers, imagine like this is one of the things like, yo, we got to stop this dude from coming to one of these teams in the American League because this is our year. So let's rock him in the hands. You never know, bro.
You might have shot yourself in the foot because the Tigers should have been one of the teams that were pursuing him.
True.
So that's why that's kind of crazy. If you're thinking like that, you just took an option off the table for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because Suarez in the Tigers lineup makes them look like, all right now, hold on. The Tigers wanted him. Thank you, Soxman for life.
Right.
So I'm just of the opinion that now you take a big trade chip off the table. Now we're going to get into a bunch of others that have got taken off the table for different reasons. Mm. But boy, oh boy, does this possible injury, we say possible because we don't know what's going to happen from, by the time he gets in the clubhouse, he gets it looked at.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the chances of us finding out whether he's fine or not are pretty high for tonight, or?
That's why I got the Twitter.
Or should we wait until like tomorrow morning?
No, if you're you should know something because I wonder if there's an X-ray machine at Comerica. There should be. If there's something they could look at.
I would hope so. We're in 2025.
No,
in all ballparks should have the same thing.
That there's a machine, an X-ray machine, or there's something that you can you'll be able to look at to be able to determine maybe this is not as bad as we hope, and maybe we're able to recoup some assets. But boy, is that a wrong time to get hurt.
Yeah, and I see your comment there, Sox fan for life. He's an all or nothing guy, but believe it or not, especially when you look at how the game is played today, sometimes that's all certain teams need, right?
Really,
a good example is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a respectable lineup this year. They don't hit a lot of homers, but
they
a guy like Suarez, like you said, all or nothing. Mm-hmm. That's a guy that they need,
Like, to me, I have 5 destinations for Eugenio Suarez. You mentioned the Blue Jays. I had them. I had the Astros. I had Suarez is getting X-rays right now as we speak.
Cool. All right.
So I had the Astros. I had Chicago. I had the Cubs. That's three. I had Philly as the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And for the fifth, I had
Detroit.
Detroit. Yeah.
Right.
Because to me, what I would say is
it's kind of crazy how fast things change, right? I mean, I know you were one of the first ones to call out the fact that the Yankees weren't going to land him, and obviously that's so far gone, I should say, right? But I say that because Ryan McMahon is now there, and then obviously they made the deal for Ahmed Rosario, which a lot of people didn't really see that coming, but it still happened nonetheless. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how a lot of people just 7 days ago when we were last year, he's going to the Yankees. Yankees are going to do whatever it takes to land him. And the Yankees have taken a completely different route, and Suarez is still out there.
And here's the thing. The Yankees being off the table might not be the worst thing in the world because now Arizona, it might be bad for Arizona in this sense. Arizona doesn't get to use the Yankees as let me get the Yankees involved and see if there's a bidding war we could go through here where we get the numbers up. And honestly, I'm going to say this, and I've been hearing this for about a week and a half now. I never thought that Suarez was a real fit for the Yankees. I had mentioned that there was conversations with Arizona, and I thought the Yankees might do it because they needed a third baseman and a bat. But the more things started to crystallize, you're like, he doesn't really fit what they need. And they started to move away from it. And the one word I keep hearing around the Yankees, people that cover the Yankees, people that I'm lucky enough to speak to, is run prevention. Like, they want to prevent runs. And Suarez doesn't do a good job of preventing runs. Mm-hmm. I believe his run saved, his defensive run saved, he's like a -6 last I checked. So that's in the lower echelon of, defensive third baseman. So I'm wondering now, what the rest of the field is looking like going, damn, how things change, how our fortunes change. Like, it came out today, I was reading an article where the Cubs were at the top of the list for him. Now you might have to just roll with Max Shaw.
Right.
Boy, how things change in a matter of like minutes. Not even hours, but minutes. Literal minutes.
Listen, for content purposes only, right? I don't want anybody to think like I'm here wishing bad on the Diamondbacks or on Suarez and the amazing season he's been having thus far. But thankfully, it was something that occurred just a few minutes, as you mentioned, Stefan, before we went live here tonight. So it was only right for us to get into something like that. But Stefan, I want to get into this other thing that we did find out earlier. I mentioned it briefly when I was talking about, some of the topics that we were going to get into here tonight. But this whole betting situation with the Guardians, Emmanuel Clase is now the second man who is under investigation by Major League Baseball for the same exact thing that I want to make sure I get his name correct. Luis Ortiz, his own teammate, was actually going through. And now there's two of them now. So thoughts on that, and chat as well for those of you who did find out about that as well. If not, look into it so that we could get into that conversation right now. But this seems pretty serious, though.
Not only is it pretty serious, look at how long they suspended him for. He's suspended till August 31st.
Right, a whole month.
Usually they go, week to week. They'll go every 2 weeks. They'll look at it. They'll come back every 2 weeks.
And they would probably extend the leave as they go, right? Yeah.
So the fact that they gave you a month out to shoot, my boy, means they found something. Either they found something or they think they're going to find something.
Yeah.
Because let me just preface this by saying Luis Ortiz is his teammate who pitched for the Guardians this year. He was the first one to be suspended in, I think, July, at some point in July. Then it comes down less than 2 weeks later, I think 2 or 3 weeks later. Now Clase is being brought into this. So I wonder, and this is me thinking out loud, purely speculation. No, I don't know anything. I don't know anybody that's told me this. This is just me speculating. I wonder if it's connected in some way where they both were involved in it together at the same time, and they were like, "Yo, let Ortiz take the fall because he's a younger player." And he was like, "Nah, damn that, I ain't doing that. You gotta come too. You was in this."
Yeah, we had an interesting conversation earlier, Stefan, and I did mention that. Like, I wonder if Luis Ortiz was a guy who is probably on the verge of facing something pretty serious. I'm sure we'll find out further details as more time goes by, and of course, as Major League Baseball continues their investigation, with now Emmanuel Clase a part of that. But yeah, that's a great point. I wonder if Ortiz said, "Listen, you guys may take me out, but I'm not going down without a fight." And I'm ratting on one of my guys. Like, it really makes sense, TD, what's good?
If you sit there and think about it, that's kind of crazy. And I will say this: Sox fan for life. Pull up Sox fan for life. Last comment there. I mean, I just want to say this. That's not true. They wanted to trade him. They've been trying to trade him because they know the return they would have gotten for him is amazing.
Right.
So I'm going to just tell you right now, that is insane. The fact that this came out right now and you don't think the Guardians are sitting there like, "Yo, bro, we can't believe this." And I believe the Guardians knew for about a week to 10 days, because remember, there's a report that came out that first they wanted to trade him. They're going to do all they can. They're going to look into it. A report comes out. Now we don't look like we're going to move him. I believe it's because the Guardians knew this was coming down at some point, and they said, "All right, everybody that has interest, back off. Because we know he's not going to be available. He's going to get suspended. This is not something that we can investigate, that we can go further with right now. Let me tell you this right now."
Yeah. One thing I want to share with you guys tonight, I had already told Stefan about this, but of course, I want to get into it deeper, especially now with the chat, since you guys are here. Right. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, there is, I believe, no chance in hell that both of these guys get away with this. Absolutely not. I think the chances of that, if you were to ask me, are extremely rare. I think Major League Baseball is going to make an example, if not out of both, then definitely one, for sure. And as I told you earlier today, Stefan, when we spoke about it at first, I think Major League Baseball wants to use at least one of these guys as an example to show these younger dudes who are on the come up. Listen, sports betting is between us and these sports betting companies when it comes to sponsorships, and anything else that the two companies may do between each other. It is not for you guys to use the salaries that we pay you guys to then put it into the same thing. And it sounds contradicting, right? Like we talked about it in the chat earlier. And it just doesn't make sense. And not just in baseball, but in sports, right? Like, yo, yeah, you guys are willing to take all of this money from the companies that you want your own athletes to have no business doing anything with. But you guys get to put it on freaking billboards, commercials. I mean, you name it, front and center on apps. Like, let's really get into it.
So that's a good segue by Shrek. So let me just point this out for the record. Shrek, we got some news for you. Some good, some bad. Let me point this out for the record. I think, me personally, that these players know what the risks are, and they still do it anyway because they feel like, they ain't going to catch me. I'm a millionaire. The problem is, you guys ain't that smart. The league got played. The people all over looking at everything you search.
Right.
Oh, he was on DraftKings, or he was on this thing, or he was on this betting website. We ain't gonna give no more free pub. By the way, DraftKings, Bet Rivers, holla at your boys. You already know.
Yes.
Holla at your boys.
Hit us up, actually.
You know
and now's the perfect time to really show you guys where the reach is for any of that.
Holla at your boys real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, the players in Major League Baseball might not be able to be in on that stuff, but us here at 27 Outs, we for sure could.
We in on it. We'll even give you a promo code here, 27.
Right.
Here's your promo code. Use that. Come holla at us. But What I will say is these players know, they know, because the league tells you, yo, you are exempt from being able to gamble. You're a part of the league. You're above that. Now, is it fair? That's a conversation for another time that I don't feel like getting into right now. I'm cool. But I will tell you, these players know what the punishment is when you decide to take a risk like this. And the fact that two players from the same team made the same quote unquote mistake or boneheaded mistake, I have two questions. One, what the hell makes y'all think y'all so special? And two, how long has this been going on in the Guardians organization? Not even those two, but the Guardians organization as a whole.
Yeah, I think Major League Baseball, outside of the two guys that they have already snagged, right, who play for the Guardians, I think Major League Baseball needs to dig deeper and to find out whether, it's just surface level or if it's something that the Guardians may have going on in-house.
It could be a gambling ring that they got
right.
going on. Which, by the way, if you're Jose Ramirez right now, you are looking up going, how fast can I waive this no trade clause? Is it possible that I could waive it? Or is it too late?
I think Clase missing the next month ruins any hope of whatever the Guardians had in mind in terms
not
of
even the next month. Maybe even the rest of his career.
Yeah, if it ends up being something that is a worst case scenario situation, of course.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of going from sad to sadder, Cubs legend Ryan Sandberg has passed away. The Cubs just announced on Twitter he has passed away. So RIP to who they call them the Sandman, the Berg, Ryan Sandberg. If you haven't seen him, that guy was a great third baseman. So shout out to him.
Rest in peace to him. So that just came out?
Just came down right now.
Right.
The Cubs just put it out on their socials. I was looking and I'm like, hey, Cubs just put something out. It's not a trade. So Ryan Sandberg has passed away. So
right. The other thing I also want to say before we move on from the Guardians and what we found out regarding Clase being involved now is I wonder if Major League Baseball now, I don't know if there should be some sort of, maybe this is a little too much, but listen, if you're somebody coming up through the system, right? Like, are we going to start making like mandatory classes now where we like genuinely enforce? Because obviously, you should already know, right? But I think back then it was certainly one of those things where it was okay not to do it, but I think, I don't think as an outsider, obviously this was before our time, but when I look back at them not being involved with these companies, it was like, all right, well, he did it back when these companies didn't even exist. You get what I'm saying? Whereas now you guys are actually involved with these companies on a daily, promoting them on a daily. So it's like, listen, if you're going to be doing that, I think we need to like start enforcing some sort of like educational, like, I don't know what you would call it, where it's a part of
you gotta go through
the system, and before you finally get to the big league level, it's one of those things where the ins and the outs of it, and also most importantly, the consequences if you are going to be somebody who gets involved.
That's the thing, and you have to lay it out as soon as they hit a ball. Not even when they're in instructional league. Yo, this is what happens if you do this, and not to make it a racially charged thing. But you know who I'm hitting first? The Latin players that don't speak English. Because you don't want nothing lost in translation. Oh, he didn't understand. He didn't think that this was a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing I don't want. So the first thing I'm doing, if I have a Latin player that I think is going to be a star or has the potential to be something special, I'm pulling them to the side. Yo, translate this right now. We're going to pull out the chat GPT. Somebody's translating this, whether it's a human or a computer. Let this brother know, yo, if you do this, we done. Like,
that's probably going to come, right, as an explanation. If Emmanuel Clase or Luis Ortiz get caught, they're going to come out with a statement, and they're going to say, yo, long story short, I didn't even know I was doing something wrong, BSing.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing like steroids. Oh, I didn't know what I was putting in my body. I had no idea.
Who the hell are you fooling?
These DraftKings and all these advertisers are right on every friggin' ad when you watch a game. That's all you see. They're in the ballpark now. They're on the screens. This thing is brought to you by blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
They have their OPS and all the statistics with a gambling site,
right
under it. So it's all prevalent, man. Oh shit! Look who it is, Big Gil in the building.
Gilbert, what's going on, man? It's been a while since you've been here.
I will say, man, it feels crazy. It feels crazy to know this is where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Not only as fans, but as a league.
Yeah.
And you know what? This ain't gonna be the first time somebody gets caught either.
No, hell no.
But to get caught right on the eve of the deadline when you could be joining a World Series level contender is flat out beyond stupid.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if within like the next 5, 7, maybe even 10 years, max, I'll say, if we find out, not just in baseball, but one of these athletes who turned out to be a multimillionaire via whatever sport it is that they played for a living, right? At the professional level, end up coming out saying like, yo, I went broke. Sports betting. I went heads in. Like head first,
That's crazy.
I went head first when it came to this sports betting, and every single dollar that you saw me, every single contract that you saw me sign for throughout my career went down the drain because the sports betting stuff. And listen, you hear stories too from people who have gotten in trouble. Like, yo, before you know it, you end up spending way more than you should have.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, bro. Like, it's amazing how you can literally go from 1 minute everything's all good to the next minute, and they even have videos. These people, the internet works fast. You seen the videos of people trying to decode him, like literally saying, "Yo, I'm gonna throw ball one here. I'm gonna do." Yo, the internet don't play games, bro.
Yeah, that's the tough part too. Because let's look at it this way, right? And a good example I would like to bring up is, you remember that whole Houston Astros scandal and the fact that they were cheating.
Hold on.
Something?
No fracture for Suarez. He is day to day. There's no fracture. So
just don't suit up.
If I'm the Diamondbacks, yo, my boy, you ain't playing from now till August 1st, my boy.
Not even DH, bro. Not even DH.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because the last thing you want is for him to really break it, and then you're screwed. So
yeah, and really think about it too, right? Like if he's day to day, how bad is it to extend that for a second day, right? Like just do that up front, and don't even bother with putting him in the lineup on Thursday.
Yeah, it's crazy. Don't even risk it. But I will say this though, to get back to the betting point, boy, does Pete Rose have an argument from the grave now.
Right.
Boy, does he have an argument from the grave. I'm not saying the argument is right. But boy, is he rolling around in that motherfucker thinking, they crucified me.
Right.
Now you in business with all these people?
I think the outcome of this investigation that Major League Baseball is doing now with the Guardians is going to be an interesting one. Because if things don't turn out how fans think it will turn out, whether it be both of them or just simply one, as I mentioned a few minutes ago.
Yep.
Now you may open up another can of worms. As you mentioned, Pete Rose, right? Obviously, he did it during a time where, Major League Baseball was literally standing by that, right? Like, we despise these companies. We want nothing to do with them, and we hope you guys are doing nothing with them. But things are very different now.
And yet you're in bed with them now, which is crazy to say. You're making billions of dollars. And here's what I'm going to say. And I don't know how much this plays a part. I'm just spitballing. We're having a conversation. I wonder if these players now look at this and go, hold on, you're making revenue off of us. You cashing in with all these companies. We need a percentage of that. I wonder if that's going to be a conversation during the lockout.
Right. That's
because
an interesting one.
that's baseball related income.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the players are like, hold up. We can't bet, but we want some of that money that you making off our back.
Right. Right.
We won't bet, but come off some of that bread because you're making billions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
with these companies because they in bed with all these different betting companies. And last thing on this, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't bet. I understand it's tempting. Everybody's doing it.
If you're a pro,
Yeah, don't even. If you're a pro, don't bet because here's what it's going to come down to. If you're found guilty, guess what? And you're betting on baseball, you're banned for life.
you're done. Mm-hmm.
So just imagine, and I'm not saying this is true. We don't know what he did. Rick makes a good point. We don't want to cast any aspersions and say Clase or Ortiz did something that they did not do.
But if they did,
But if they did, and you know that their career is done, boy, what a crying shame, especially for a guy like Clase, who hasn't really made any real money yet, and who was in line to make some real money if he was able to pitch for a contender and continue his career. That is just sad. Sad. And what it shows you is we as a country, because I'm not even putting it on Clase, I'm talking about we as a general people, have such low impulse control when it comes to these things, man. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I saw
And
a fan
so-
make an interesting comment earlier, and they said it was like, damn, so y'all out here doing this stuff, getting caught up, putting your careers at risk. So y'all not making enough money? Is that what it is? That's a good point. Like these dudes are already multimillionaires, bro.
Yeah,
like
bro.
they've made money that they never even imagined they would ever touch in their lives. And now that you're finally able to touch that,
it's
like,
mind-numbing.
really, you're gonna throw it down the drain? Like, come on, man.
It's mind-numbing. And
but
like,
at the same time, I do get the flip side of it too, right? It's also tempting. Like, I make all this money. My family is set. My bills is set. I don't got to worry about paying anything for the next however many years.
I got all the chains and cars
I want. I mean, it wouldn't hurt if I put like 30 grand, 50 grand up, you know?
Nah, I mean, like, I got all the means I need. Shorty, right. I got 2 shorties at the crib right now. We good. The reality of it is, it could all go away just like that.
Right.
And
you know, speaking of that, who's I forget the name, man. I was just reading about it. Some of you guys might know about this. Stefan, I believe you do. Who's the basketball player who's like in extreme debt with like his barber? Many other
Malik Beasley.
Yes, like, yo, you don't want to go down that route, bro. Like, you, as I mentioned, your career's at risk. Yo, and now you ain't getting $1 back moving forward. You get what I'm saying?
Listen, hold up. You want to hear some crazy shit, y'all? He owes his barber 36 grand. You owe your barber 36 grand, my boy?
That's crazy.
36 grand is next level. Yo, I like a fresh cut.
Mm-hmm. Know what I mean? That's like half a salary for certain folks.
I like a fresh cut. I'm cool. I ain't mad. But 36 grand to get your shit.
Yeah, but you know these dudes but you gotta think about it from their perspective, right? And this goes for all sports. Like, I know Beasley plays basketball in the NBA,
right. Yeah.
But I think football players do this. I think baseball players do this. The list goes on. These dudes are flying out their barber most likely, giving them a place to stay, or for the barber to pull up for a shape up or whatever type of cut it is that they're getting. It's more than just the haircut that you're paying for.
Yeah, it's the experience. Rick makes a great point here. Millionaires don't gamble for money. They gamble because it's competitive, fun, and it's like a sport they play.
That's true. Look, you know, point. I'm glad you said that, Rick, because the first person, D-Rails, we see you. What's good? Thanks for stopping by, bro. The first person that comes to mind is Drake. Like, who's Drake working with? There's a sports betting company that I believe Drake works with, right? He's always doing like promo with them. He appears on their page a lot. What's the name of that company? For those of you who do know.
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about. And by the way, D-Rose, what's up? Welcome. They're moving Vientos, brother. They're moving Vientos. There's a lot of smoke around him. They're moving him. If they can get the right package, they'll move him.
Before we move on, I do just want to share this. We are 34 minutes into tonight's show. Shout out to all of you who are watching right now. Really appreciate it. Busy week over here for Stefan and myself, excuse me. But make sure you guys go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at 27outs3C. Everybody who's watching right now via YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Ivan. That's Stefan. The chat is rocking with us. Introduce yourself if you're new. As I always say, make sure you subscribe, not only because of tonight's episode, but for future content. Friendly reminder, we have a second episode coming out later this week, Thursday night. Obviously, the deadline is at 6 p.m., so that'll be wrapping up, and then we'll be coming back to you guys live with the brand new edition 3 hours later. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Yes. Speaking of Vientos and that deal, there was somebody here.
I don't bet, brother, but I just spit facts. Just want you to know.
Yo, D-Rounds, be careful now, bro. You might want to go to a Guardians fan with that nonsense, not us. A Guardians fan, they might actually take you up on that bet, bro, because they got other things going on.
Yeah, word up. They really out here betting.
There was somebody here. Actually, Gilbert, right? Because I know you just finished talking about the Mets briefly, Stefan. You mentioned Vientos, but so Gilbert is asking us whether we think the Mets are going to make a move by Thursday.
I do. And I'll tell you what I think they're going to trade for. Cedric Mullins.
Okay.
Cedric Mullins is going to be playing center field for the New York Mets.
Mm-hmm. By the way, he robbed a home run earlier today. If you're a Mets fan, you should be excited because hopefully he's doing that in your uniform.
Yo, first of all, the home run he robbed, bro, he looked like Spider-Man climbing over the wall. This was incredible. I was like, yo, somebody want to go get your mans.
Mm-hmm.
Go get him, dog.
Right.
That was incredible. That was one of the greatest home run robberies I think I've ever seen.
By the way, I go ahead, Stefan. I want to share something after you finish.
No, when you watched it, what's the first thing you thought of? Because I was bugging out when I saw this.
I mean, I thought it was amazing, right? He's not as young as he once was, but he's still a productive player. And the fact that he could still get up there at his age. How old is Cedric Mullins? He's got to be like in his early 30s. In his 30s, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
He's 30 years old. He was actually born in 94, the same year I was born. So
look at that. Two old heads and shit.
31 years old and you still robbing home runs? Shit. Go ahead, Mullins.
Two old heads. Look at y'all. Look at y'all, man.
What was the other thing I actually wanted to get into? Oh, this is not related to the Mets, but Shrek, I do want to highlight this comment here. Yes, we did hear about this, and I kid you not, you were the first person that came to mind, and I did mention your name in the chat. I was like, yo, Shrek is probably somewhere right now in this world crying.
Hurling. He's over the bowl.
I feel bad for you, right, bro. Now. And it sucks too, because he was really looking like a Cy Young candidate. Like he was pitching that well to the point where he probably would have finished somewhere like in the top 5. And for him to now be out for the season, it's kind of unfortunate, not only for him and the season that he was having, but for the Royals too. I mean, your best pitcher, damn.
Yeah, and that's right after they gave Seth Lugo his bag too.
I wonder if the Royals did that because they knew that they were going to be without.
He's going to be done for the year. Yeah.
I mean, you never know. Shrek, since you're here with us and you're a Royals fan, what do you think? You think the Lugo extension was already bound to happen, or do you think the Royals may have pivoted because they found out other news?
That's a great point. Oh, no problem, Gil. I think the Mets, I don't think they're done there, though. I think they go out and get maybe a reliever or two. What
I do want to ask you, Gilbert, you being a Mets fan and D-Rails as well, if you are here, I want to ask the two of you guys, as Mets fans, what would you like to see the Mets do between now and 6 p.m. on Thursday?
Let me ask you, that's a great point, because is Luis Robert in those plans? Because the Mets have been connected to Luis Robert in recent days.
Yeah,
How do
I
you
did
feel
read
about that,
something
Gil?
about that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel.
No, Shrek, no, not him getting traded. Oh no, he's talking to TD. My mistake. Let you guys have your conversation
Yeah,
here. Let me
no,
not
no.
get caught up.
Let them let them
Yeah.
get in the virtual mosh pit with each other. Um,
So he
it's
responded. He says that they were trying to do that anyway.
Lugo anyway, and I think if we couldn't extend him, they were gonna ship him out. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think he wanted to stay there though. That's a nice little payday. He's getting 20 million, I think 20 million in 26, and then he's getting 27 million in 27 and a vesting option for 2028.
Right.
That's a nice little deal. Shout out to him.
Ooh, Sox fan for life, man. He's jumping over from the American League to the National League. Mets not gonna win the NL, so won't matter. Hold on now. We got D-Rails in here. We got Gilbert in here. Be careful, Sox fan.
Listen, you want to
Don't
make it
get
out
shot at,
alive,
bro. Don't get shot at, bro. You know what I mean? Oh
shit.
Yeah, I love you guys, man. I really appreciate the fact you guys are here rocking with us, having your own conversations as well.
Yeah, man, you gotta be careful out here. You don't want to no shot fired out here. Know what I mean? I like Seth Lugo.
Yeah, me too.
I like another bat because longtime Mets fans have seen too many fall short. All right, so who's the bat you'd want when the Mets win the NL later in the data this year? We're gonna remember that.
We sure will.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna dog pal on you, bro. It's gonna be dog pal for life out here.
Right.
Speaking of for life, since the moniker came out, Sockman for life. R.I.P. to the legend Hulk Hogan. You know, NWF for life. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah, man. You know, I was talking to a group of friends. I think it was like a day or two ago, and you know, a lot of people they have mixed emotions when it comes to Hulk Hogan and what he did during his time here on Earth with us. And I got to be honest, for certain people, especially myself, I'd like to put myself underneath this category. You know, it's not that hard to be able to separate, you know, what a person believes aside from maybe their art, whether they be a musician. In Hogan's case, him being a wrestler, like I'm able to separate Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, from, you know, the things that just weren't okay to do, especially, you know, when you look at some of the things that he may have said over the years, how he may have treated certain people. And I'm not saying that people are wrong for focusing on that, because if that bothers you, because Hulk Hogan was a big deal, bro. Whether you were a wrestling fan or not, you for sure knew who he was. Whether you found out about him during his wrestling days or whether you found out about him after, because he also did a lot of things on TV. You know, I know he's had some shows as well. Hogan knows best. But I personally was introduced, and I will always remember Hulk Hogan for his time in the WWF, the WCW, and you know, some of the other things that he's done as well over the years.
For sure. Speaking of doing things, just heard the Red Sox are thinking about putting Aroldis Chapman on the IL.
Oh, damn.
Hasn't been confirmed yet, but that's something they're thinking about doing right now. They're actually in Minnesota. So after the game, the plan is for Alex Cora to address.
Speaking of the Red Sox, you know, I don't want to put too much pressure on. We are getting closer to the deadline, but less than 72 hours away. But, you know, that's a team who, for me to actually believe in what they may want to accomplish this season, and no shade towards UTD, no shade towards Sox fan for life, but I got to see something come out of that organization. You guys can't go beyond 6 p.m. on Thursday without making a trade or two. Like, there's no way, because I'm sorry to say, I'm not taking y'all serious if you don't make that trade.
So here's the question, though. What trade can they make?
Right. Well, thankfully, and shout out to the Red Sox fans who we do have here who support the show. What would you guys like to see? You know, I know the bullpen has been, you know, somewhat of an issue. Obviously, you sharing the news regarding Chapman now, that's a little bit of a concern now for the the Boston Red Sox, depending on how long that may last.
Mm-hmm.
And also Durant, right? Like I read some comments that came out just the other day where he's like, listen, I'm just focused on like the group of guys that I'm playing baseball here with for the Boston Red Sox. And long story short, we'll worry about the rest if it does happen at all.
I'll tell you this. I could be wrong on this. It doesn't feel like they're gonna do anything though. Like it doesn't feel like because they haven't been at the forefront of these conversations, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's them just biding their time, knowing okay, we're gonna do something. But I have the same question for them that I have for the Mets because remember we were just talking like the Red Sox just built this farm system, like they just started to see some production from these kids. So it's like, do you want to trade a few of these kids to get a starter, to get a reliever? Like, I think Ryan Helsley would be great for the Red Sox, the Cardinals closer, who is likely to be traded. But I know that John Mozeliak is going to ask for something crazy, especially because it always happens that way. Now, prices do come down the closer you get because deadlines tend to make people normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They tend to make people like, you were asking for the sun and the moon and the stars a couple days ago. Now you want a bag of chips, a quart of water, and some seafood.
Yo, quarter waters, I don't even think they exist anymore, right?
You know what I mean?
If they are a quarter, I mean, I doubt it. They might be a bit more than that, but I remember quarter water.
But you get the analogy, though.
Of course, yeah.
Quarter water, bag of chips, and some seeds.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, you was asking me to take you to the spot over there.
Right.
You want filet mignon with the baked potato and the au gratin potato and the salad, and you bug.
TD says he thinks the Red Sox should address the bullpen, and he'd like to see Yandy Diaz in a Red Sox uniform. That would be nice.
So would I.
Mm-hmm.
He got the perfect swing for that yard, boy. Yandy Diaz in Fenway Park would I be.
Yandy Diaz, that's been a name that we've been hearing now around the trade deadline for a couple of seasons
years now. Yeah,
this ain't the first time, so no. I think it's only a matter of time before the Rays finally pull the trigger and make it happen.
The Rays made a little sneaky, interesting trade. I don't know if anybody saw this, but they acquired. They flipped Danny Jansen. Danny Jansen went to the Brewers, and then they got back Nick Fortes from the Marlins. 28 years old, under control for 3 more seasons. He's not afraid, and he's not a free agent until I think he's 28 now. He doesn't hit free agency until he's 31. Right. That's a good get for the Rays. Now, here's the thing I'm going to point out about Tampa. Chat, you can tell me if you disagree. Ivan, we can have the back and forth. I don't see Tampa doing anything substantial because their ownership group is in the process of transition. So they might trade Yandy Diaz just because they want to get the money off the books. However, I would not be surprised if we get to, Thursday and he's still in Tampa.
Right.
Because I just think the middle of the season is hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say the deadline is the hardest time to make a trade.
Especially now more than ever.
It's hard because you have teams that think they're in it. You have teams that don't think they're out of it. Like right now, I'm surprised that Cedric Mullins' name is not being spoken of with a lot more loudness, a lot more ferocity, a lot more intensity.
Well, the Orioles, they have started, right? We talked about the Mets a couple times here tonight. But the Mets and Orioles made a deal just the other day. Orioles sent Gregory Soto, left-handed reliever, over to the Mets. How do you guys feel about that, Gilbert and D-Rails, if you guys are still here?
Listen, I'm going to be honest. That's a nice little get for them. But, boy, when he's off, he can walk the yard.
Right. But the reason why I say that is because, we're on the topic of Cedric Mullins. But the Orioles may not be done just yet.
They can't be done. Mm-hmm. Ramon Laureano should be traded.
He's having a hell of a season for them, by the way.
He just
nobody wants an outfielder. You hear me? Excuse me. Nobody wants an outfielder who's a great defender at that.
Yeah.
Come on now, Ramon Laureano
has 15 home runs. He homered again tonight. Hit a moonshot to left field.
Listen.
By the way, they're blowing out the Blue Jays right now. 10-4 was last I checked.
Right.
So, like, they got some players they could trade. You could trade him. Felix Batista's not getting traded because the shoulder started to bark a little bit. So there goes that.
Mm-hmm.
But why Mullen should be traded?
I think Zach Eflin's on the team.
Zach
too.
Eflin should be traded.
He should be moved. Yeah.
If I'm being honest, if I'm them, I think about the possibility of Ryan O'Hearn should be traded.
You know what? Now that we are on this topic, I want to move because we still haven't gotten into Judge, that injury, the Tigers. Even though they have won now, I believe, 2 in a row? Is that game that they played tonight over?
Yeah, they beat the Diamondbacks 5-1. Yeah,
all right, so that's 2. So we'll touch on that briefly. And then we also want to get into another thing that we found out, and I'm sure you guys heard about it, between Bryce Harper and Manfred and some of the words that were exchanged between them. We'll get to that in just a bit. But where was I? Oh, the Orioles. Like, if you really think about it, the Orioles may not have to actually touch their young superstars. Maybe I might be getting ahead of myself. But if you're an Orioles fan, you might be able to revamp this thing in a positive way while you still keep your youngsters by departing with a Cedric Mullins, by departing with a Zach Eflin. You already got rid of Gregory Soto. Now, you may not get, as you mentioned a couple minutes ago, Stefan, the sun, the moon, and the stars in return.
Right.
But, I mean, listen, you still get to hold on to your precious jewels. So why not get rid of the ones that are already used and tarnished?
And at that point, you could get a nice little sum back. You could get your books fresh for next year. You could go out next offseason. This is something I'm going to say, and I'm going to yell. I'm not going to yell this, but I'm going to say it very sternly. If the Baltimore Orioles don't go out and spend no money, I don't ever want to hear about the Baltimore Orioles ever in contention with this young core ever again. You got these new guys making no money. Next year's the year you better spend some money, because guess what? Adley's a year closer to free agency. Gunner's a year closer to free agency. Jackson's a year closer to free agency.
Right.
Let's go, boys. It's time now. Spend some money. What are we replacing Rubenstein with the Angelos family? For that, leave the Angelos family in charge. They were doing just fine being cheap.
Right.
You were supposed to be the guy that comes in and spends some money. You ain't doing nothing. And now
That's
look.
true, yeah.
Now look at where you are. Grayson Rodriguez, what a fall from grace today. He can't get on the field. He can't get on the field. Bradish, they're hoping to get him back soon. Adley just came back tonight. So it's like, yeah, you can see the potential of what they could be if you get some pitching. They need pitching. You need to invest in it. And the thing is, you know what sucks? And you know what this is reminding me of? You know what we need to be more cognizant of? Developing pitching has to be at the forefront of everything these teams do moving forward. Because buying it is expensive. Trading for it is even more expensive. So you should think, we have to start to develop pitching, because it's going to get more expensive. The more you want it, the more expensive it's going to get.
It's also going to get harder, though, for the Orioles with this young core moving forward, because now the Boston Red Sox are back in the picture. The Toronto Blue Jays, since extending Vladimir Guerrero Jr., is now in the picture. And obviously, the Yankees.
They might go get pitching. Toronto might go get pitching, because you're at the point right now. You got a 5.5 game lead in the East. They're one ace away from being really, really good, where the Yankees don't catch them. Like, Toronto's good. Like, don't let these last 2 blowouts fool you. Oh, they're coming back to earth. No, that lineup is relentless. They need an ace. They need somebody, like, if I'm Toronto, and I know what the numbers say, and quite frankly, I don't care. Mitch Keller in Toronto would make a bunch of sense. You know who I'd like to see in Toronto? Just a nice veteran presence, Luis Severino.
That'd be nice.
There's something about a guy like that. He pitches with intensity. He pitches with a certain level of ferocity. He takes it seriously.
Familiar with the American League East as well.
Right. I wonder if Toronto says, you know what? You can't say that, Shrek. They're 5 games up in the division. And if you make one move, you can't say they're not going to TD. You can't say that. That's irresponsible.
Yeah, TD. So I
That's
don't want to say I
irresponsible.
disagree with you entirely because I have said this with Stefan. I actually did say this on previous shows as well. But now that you said that, so it's not that I don't believe Toronto can't go anywhere, right? You know, they've
I
been
don't.
showing us. They've been playing some really good baseball. And I think now is a good time. But here's my thing with them. Toronto is one of those teams where I got to see it to believe it.
A
So
fair
I'm
point.
enjoying everything day to day, over time, in real time, if that makes sense. Because I
Right.
don't really view Toronto like some of these other teams in the American League.
Right. Right. I think. Look. At the end of the day, here's what it boils down to. I think if you sit there and you told Toronto today, yo, you're one quality pitcher away. For Kevin Gausman's been good. Chris Bassett's been solid this year. Other than today, where he got shelled, he's been good.
Mm-hmm.
Barrios has been solid. Like, I understand what you got. They ain't real. They're going to collapse. But I'm just saying what's in front of me right now, they look like one of the best teams in baseball. And
Right.
here's what we're going to point out. They're not striking out. They don't strike out. They swing for contact. They're the type of team in the postseason you don't want to play because they're not going to give you easy outs. They're not going to strike out. They're going to put the ball in play and annoy the crap out of you. That's a team you don't want to play in the playoffs.
That's my style of play. I love that, actually.
Right. And so if the pitching can somehow, if they could get some pitching in there, then that's a different conversation for another day.
Yeah.
I can understand it if you said, hey, they hit home runs, they're home on a bust. You know what I mean? Like, it's you can't call it that aggressively yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's not fair. That is not fair because we'll see. We'll see. And I'm not trying to defend the Blue Jays. I just don't think it's fair that we're gonna say it was a collapse or it was gonna do this and that. Like,
yeah,
we don't know what stuff is gonna look like. And come Thursday, if they walk out with an ace pitcher, that got to change a little bit of your mindset on how you feel about that front office and how they did their job.
Right.
Now, if the front office does nothing and you walk away with the same team, then I'll be more inclined to listen to your collapse theory. Because you had, to me, they had the AL East in a chokehold and you did nothing with it.
If you don't make a move, right?
Right, and you did nothing with it. And the last thing you want to have happen is either the Red Sox, Craig Breslow, or Brian Cashman wakes up and says, no, y'all playing? Yo.
All right, we'll do it.
You know what I mean? And then it becomes a different sort of thing, right? Where, like, Toronto is at the point now where you have to start taking them at least somewhat seriously. I agree with your point of, listen, they've been here before, but they're doing it a completely different way. They're not home run a bust like they were in 15 when they had Jose Bautista.
Yeah, man. Listen, speaking of that, offense was fun to watch, man. Joey Bats, Eddie Encarnacion, Josh Donaldson, when he was in his prime and he won the MVP with them. That lineup was no joke. Star-studded lineup, man.
Oh, they were loaded.
Mm-hmm.
They had the one healthy year from Troy Tulowitzki, the one half before his legs just exploded.
Yeah, I remember Tulo, man. Tulo was one of those guys who I was always hoping, like, yo, could he just finally put a season of 162 together, bro? Like,
right.
Listen, what you did in your early days just wasn't enough. There's a comment here that I do want to highlight because it does match, something that we have in our title here tonight. Mm-hmm. So Sox fan for life, he says Tigers looked like that 3 weeks ago. Now, not so much. Speaking of the Tigers, we found out that they made a deal for Chris Paddock. I don't really know how to feel about that. I guess it's okay.
Well,
it's been a while since Chris Paddock has been well, and we have to go back to when he pitched for the San Diego Padres.
What I would say
a while back.
Chris Paddock feels like an insurance move.
Mm-hmm.
Because Reese Olson is done for the year.
Right.
So I think they knew he was done for the year. And so they said, yo, let's get some insurance in here. Let's get some innings in here. And let's see if we could see something under the hood. If I'm the Detroit Tigers right now, I'm calling the Padres every 5 minutes. Yo, what do you want for Dylan Cease?
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Cease and Tariq Skubal can win the Tigers the World Series.
Yeah, I think right now, when you look at the Tigers, and I could be wrong. If you think otherwise, feel free to let us know, right? Like, I don't think I'm right in stating this, but I think
Right.
outside of Tariq Skubal and Casey Mize, I'm a little iffy with that Tigers rotation.
But even
I think
Casey
Jack
Mize,
Flaherty hasn't pitched as good as he did last season with the Tigers. Hence why we believe, this Chris Paddock thing isn't really what I think they have to do.
Nah.
But as you mentioned with the injury, it kind of fits or makes sense, at least for now.
Listen, what I would say is, if I'm the Tigers, you have to channel your inner Dave Dombrowski and go get you one of them. Go get you a top flight starter. Whoever it may be, whoever's available, go snatch him up, please. Because you ain't doing nothing if that's your rotation rolling in. If you got Schoolville and a bunch of maybes.
Right, yeah.
Like
listen, they did some interesting things last season, though.
They did, but
now that you did that, you got to capitalize and, could you make it to the ALCS now, That's because that's where I have the Tigers going.
Here's what I'm going to tell
Before I have them in the World Series, I have the Tigers going as far as to the ALCS this season.
Right, and you're one big pitching acquisition away. To me, the Tigers and the Blue Jays are neck and neck. They're kind of mirroring each other. Well, the Tigers did it last year in the playoffs, so maybe they have a step up. But you have to capitalize on how weak the American League East is as a league. Like, yo, the Rays look bad. Baltimore, we thought they were gonna be better. They're bad.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yankees are scuffling, right?
Average.
Mm-hmm. Can't seem to play defense.
So it's like you gotta be able to.
Can't actually watch a Yankee game without there being an effort that happens. That's how bad things are for them.
And that's the thing I'm trying to tell you is the idea that, it may not be as simple as we don't want to give up a player because we think, listen, I'm gonna propose something. What I'm gonna propose is that you're gonna see two buyers help each other here. For example, right? I think AJ Preller's trading Dylan Cease, but you know what I think he trades Dylan Cease for? Major league level talent. I think if you trade Dylan Cease, you know what I think comes back? I think they get a nice decent pack. Like, I think he's looking at a guy like Ben Rice. Teams want Ben Rice, by the way. Yankees like third catcher. Like, he's looking for people like that have played in the big leagues or that have close to the big leagues, right? Like, I think if you trade Dylan Cease, because the Padres are not just gonna fold. That's not AJ Preller's style. That's not how he does business. So he's gonna pull a trade out that we're gonna be like, huh? Where you come from, bro? And the one team that I keep hearing whispers about, I wonder if he trades Dylan Cease to the Cubs and says, yo, you got some guys in your minor leagues that are close to the big leagues. Come off.
And that's what the Cubs are in need of right now is pitching, because I don't think the Cubs have to do a damn thing with their lineup. I think the lineup as it is perfectly fine to go into a deep playoff run in October, but can the pitching follow through? That's my concern with them.
Well, I will say this.
I actually saw an interesting question regarding that. Go ahead.
Mentioning Sandy Alcantara, let's get to this.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting traded.
He better.
I'm going to tell you what I think he gets traded to. I think he's going to the Dodgers. The Dodgers or Padres. It's going to be it's going to be the Andrew Friedman, AJ Preller war. Like, all right, who can get the best package out there faster? Yeah.
With a little bit of some Manny Machado shit talking sprinkled on top.
A little bit.
By the way, Manny Machado, he's been saying a lot of things lately, man. Like, I know Manny Machado has always had a mouth, throughout his career. But I don't know, man. The mouth has been a little more on the spicy side since he's been with the Padres now.
Yeah, you can't. That's because he got
There's
people.
almost no filter.
Yeah, you can't talk it. You can't be talking that spicy. You know, that's kind of crazy out here.
Right.
Now, if you're gonna talk that spicy, that's when you need to punch John Jay upside his head. You can't be doing all that talking and then you don't square up with your mans, because then you look soft.
Right. Speaking of the Cubs, who we were just talking about, there was a question here. I read it. Let's see if I could pull it up right here by Gilbert again. He says, although he's a Mets fan, he is a baseball fan, just like us. We are,
Right.
Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think is going, or who do we think is going to win between the Cubs and the Brewers? Stefan and I, we spoke about that briefly earlier today.
Ask me in about 48 hours. Ask me in 72 hours, actually. Because I think they're another team. They're neck and neck. Right?
Yeah, I agree with Stefan. I think I could give you definitive answer Thursday night, because I think both teams are in need of the opposite thing, right? Like the Cubs, we just talked about, need pitching. The Brewers, not so much. I think the Brewers could go into October with Freddie Peralta, Jacob Mizorowski, Brandon Woodruff, who's back. He's off the IL. Jose Quintana, who's up there in age, but still having a hell of a season.
Yeah.
I think they're fine with that.
And
but the reason why I mentioned, the opposite part is because I think the Brewers are in need of a bat.
Yeah,
like the Cubs.
The Brewers need a bat. If the Brewers get the bat with their level of pitching, it's all she wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to say something that I think is a little bit controversial. I think Luis Robert will be the perfect bat in Milwaukee. Because, yes, he's not perfect. I'm not saying perfect is what you need. Because everybody, when we get to deadline time, we want perfect. That doesn't exist. You're just trying to plug holes wherever they are, find the holes wherever they may be, and get your team ready for October. There is no perfect trade. There are no buyers. There are no sellers. That is all dead. This second, third wild card killed all that. So what I'm saying is we have to get used to the reality that there ain't going to be that sexy trade that we all thought was going to happen, because teams are a lot more conservative now. So but they need to get a starter. They'd like to get whatever they need to get, but it's not that easy, right? Which is why I've said, Rodney, look at what the Yankees are doing, for example. Let's just use them as the example. The Yankees know they need pitching help. They know they need bullpen help. They know they need a starter as well, right? Here's the reality of it. If Brian Cashman knows those weaknesses are too expensive for him, what is he focusing on? Run prevention. I'm trying to stop runs from scoring so that I'm able to establish the defense is better. You're not scoring as many runs off of me. When Fernando Cruz comes back, that's an add to the bullpen. Mark Leiter Jr. is supposed to come back at some point. That's another add to the bullpen. So as much as we'd like to add to what we already have, I think it's a little difficult in this current climate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's
when it comes to the Yankees, and listen, this is not a name that comes out of my mouth often, and the only reason why I'm mentioning his name is because he finally did something that you would not actually see him do. And I'm speaking of Michael Kay. I don't know if you saw this clip, Stefan, but earlier today, I saw this clip of Michael Kay speaking on his show, and he called the Yankees out. He was like, yo, y'all already entered the season on the wrong note by not already having a third baseman. Like, the fact that we are past the midway point into the 2025 season, and here we are still talking about the same damn issue is a problem. And shout out to Michael Kay for finally calling him out, because usually he's always on their side.
Right. And here's the thing. Rick makes a great point. I think the Brewers are in desperate need of a guy like Brent Rook. No, the A's ain't doing that. Why would the A's even consider doing that? I'm going to tell you something right now. The A's get some pitching. They got one of the best lineups in the American League.
Yeah, man. Yo, by the way, guys, if you guys are not watching the A's, I said this on last week's show. They currently have two guys who are neck and neck for the AL Rookie of the Year. Not just that, but if you look at the lineup, and these are all young dudes, bro. Lawrence Butler,
That's crazy, bro.
Hurts, Wilson, Brent Rooker, as you mentioned, Rick. Like, they got some guys in that lineup.
Mm-hmm. Tyler Soderstrom was hot for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Like they can't. Them boys can hit. Get them boys some pitching.
Yup.
I feel like like the help is on the way. You know the movie. What's the movie with Robin Williams where he's the nanny, Mrs. Doubtfire? Help is on the way. Like, get them boys some pitching.
Right.
That lineup is no joke.
Speaking of help being on the way, I do want to say this one last time. Make sure we get it out for a second way. And since we have Rodney here, who's a Yankees fan, I do want to propose a question, not only to you, Stefan, but to Rodney as well. But before I do that, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at 27now3C. Everyone who's here right now, please take 1 second to thumbs up the video. It does go a long way. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. So, yeah, Rodney, Stefan, I also want to ask you guys, with this whole Judge thing, right? And with the Yankees, as I mentioned earlier tonight, already making 2 deals for Ryan McMahon and Ahmed Rosario, where do you go from here? Because you can't be done. One, even though people like Stefan and I already believe, like, it doesn't matter what you do if you were to ask us this season, because I don't think there's a Band-Aid that's big enough to cover the wound.
Flesh wound that is gaping from your friggin' chest right now.
So now that we have you here, Rodney, answer that question. What is something that you would like to see happen between now and Thursday night at 6 p.m.?
That's a good question. While he answers that, though, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper telling Rob Manfred to get the fuck out my clubhouse?
Yeah. We got to get into that, bro. That was an interesting read. Shout out to you for sharing that with me, because prior to that, I didn't see anything about it. But I read it instantly. It looks like Bryce Harper wants all the smoke, and Rob Manfred quickly learned, like, holy cow, like, I might have to go back to the drawing board, because these guys don't even want to talk to me.
Yo, dog, I'm going to be honest with you. Rob Manfred's smart, but you might have stepped to the wrong dude, bro. Harp don't care. Harper curse you out, your boys out. He told him, get out.
I know this for a fact, I don't believe Bryce Harper only speaks for himself. I think when he said what he said, he spoke on behalf of himself. He spoke
for everybody, right?
He spoke on behalf of everybody else who plays for the Phillies and Major League Baseball.
So don't be surprised now. Don't be surprised if other players, more prominent players, now get up and tell Rob Manfred, yo, fuck out of here, bro. Like, get out of here. Like, we don't even want to hear from you. And, it makes me question some things, right? Like, if you're CC Sabathia,
my fault for laughing, bro, but I'm thinking about the article that I read earlier, and I'm getting like this visual in my mind of Rob Manfred being interviewed after like Bryce Harper said what he said. And I can only imagine, like, yo, but I didn't even really get out what I wanted to say. He cursed me.
No,
because I think that's how it went down. I don't think Bryce Harper actually allowed Manfred to say much. And Manfred was like, yo, but I didn't even get to say much. You saw me and I'm getting cursed out.
That's the point. Get out.
Yo, that's crazy.
Here's the thing. Point 2 things out. By the way, shout out to the Hall of Famers, CC, Ichiro, Dick Allen, Dave Parker, Billy Wagner. Shout out to y'all.
But my favorite out of that whole crop, outside of CC, is Ichiro. For sure. Love Ichiro.
CC, you look like the biggest kiss ass, bro. You sitting here on this man's committee when you was one of the mans that was warring for the players. Now you turning sides. Come on, bro.
Maybe because he's no longer playing.
Right, but you should at least have the brotherhood to say, yo, And maybe he's trying to position himself to become commissioner when Manfred retires. I'm not saying that that's what happens, but I'm saying that's a possibility.
You think so? I feel like, and not to say that it can't happen, because I would love to see CC do that, right? Like I would love to see him have a second shot at remaining in Major League Baseball, but not being a player, obviously, but doing other things, calling the shots, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see him working in media instead. Like I could see him like getting a check from one of these companies out there. You don't see it?
C wants to sit behind his desk in a suit and some Jordans and run shit. He didn't want to do media.
Right.
What I'll say is, I think there's a chance.
Yo, look at these guys, bro.
I'm letting them go. I having a sparring session.
Yo, Shrek coming out. He was fine. He said, "Yo, well, what was your last World Series?"
Oh man, listen, but let y'all do what y'all do. CC needs to be running the Players Association. That's 100% right. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna say this again, and I know I've said this before, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think Bryce Harper is tired, like all these players. Like, where's Tony Clark? When Manfred's going around, where is Tony Clark going? Yeah. No.
You should be cursing him out for us.
Right. Wherever you go is where I'm going to be. Get his itinerary from the league office and track him. No. You ain't doing that, my boy. Because here's the thing. They can't even explain what the plan is to these players.
Yeah.
If you read the article, Manfred's like him and Hahn. Well, this is what we really would like to do. And you leave them more confused than when you walk in the door. What are we talking about? And so I'm at the point now where I want somebody that's going to be able to provide some clarity to what the situation is going to look like moving forward. Right. And I need somebody that's been in the trenches. And I'm going to say this name again. I think he can cross both aisles of the bridge. Curtis Granderson needs to run the Players Association, and he needs to do it now. Somebody needs to strip Tony Clark of his authority before the negotiations begin. By the way, he's under federal investigation by the FBI.
Tony Clark?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So, like, there's a lot more going on than just, he's trying to hold it together. You being investigated by the feds, my boy.
Wow.
And you letting him run your players union? Come on, man. Like, that sounds ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't nobody going to say it. Now we wonder why the shape of baseball's in the shape it's in. You could say, the NBA's too soft. It's a players' league. It's blah, blah, blah. It's blah, blah, blah. It's blah, blah, blah. The NBA gets it right because they listen to the players.
Right.
They understand this is a players' league. Curtis Granderson can kind of bridge those gaps. It's all about bridging the gap now. Because how negative is it that baseball's All-Star Game just had the highest ratings they've had in the last 10 years? The postseason did astronomical numbers last year. The ballparks are more full than in the last 10 to 12 seasons. And we're sitting here talking about a lockout in 2 years? That looks bad for the game. And guess what? Bryce Harper said a line that I don't believe, but at least it mentions the seriousness of how they're taking this. 162 games. You got players that are talking about willing to sit out full seasons for this. Do they cave eventually? Yes, because the players union is not uniform in all their decisions. Because you have a Latin side that don't speak English that needs the money, and then you got the American side that understands the business. So there's two things that need to be able to be bridged.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't. For me, there's a bunch of different things that are happening here, and I think it's a lose-lose. I think it's a lose-lose for everybody involved because baseball's the only sport that allows a guy that's 50-something years old that hasn't laced up a pair of cleats in almost 20 years run your union.
Right.
That is so crazy.
No, you're right. Curtis Granderson, I think that not only would it be interesting, but I think players would be able to relate to him a lot
to
better.
Me, they should
be able to relay their message.
They should have co-chairs of the players union. I'm gonna give you two names. One should be Curtis Granderson. The other one should be Pedro Martinez. Pedro is like a god to these Latin players. Pedro, David Ortiz, maybe even Albert Pujols, because he's a good Christian man. He ain't gonna do nothing crazy. You need somebody that's gonna set an example for these Latin players.
Right.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I'm at the point now where I've said it. I've been on this bus. We ain't seeing baseball for all of 27 and most of 28. Because
you think it goes for a year and a half?
Yes.
It's a lot of money left on the table.
It is, bro. But think about how they fighting each other, you heard? They fighting each other. It's not like the union's just in one voice saying, yo, we want to do X, Y, Z. You got the Latin players doing this. You got the minor league players now involved, so they might want a piece of the pie. You got this side talking this. You got this side doing that. The union is not unionized. They're not coming together. And what Manfred is saying is, look at how weak y'all guys are. Y'all can't even figure out what to order for lunch, and we've been here for 5 minutes. So imagine what it's going to look like when we get to the real negotiation part of this and things start getting real.
Mm-hmm. And that's when they're finally going to want to sit down with Manfred, because what we know as of now is they don't even want to talk.
And that's even worse, because you have 18 months to get this figured out, and you don't even want to be in the same room with dude. That's bad. Mm-hmm. Like, that shows you right there that the animosity and the dislike for each other on both sides. I'm not going to say hatred because that's too strong of a word, but there's some real deep-rooted mistrust on both sides.
Yeah, I just had this crazy visualization. But could you imagine if the Phillies somehow, some way win the World Series
and
Bryce Harper wins the World Series MVP, and these two are like literally right next to each other? You know how strange that would be after what we're talking about right now?
And baseball has a weird way of irony becoming a part of the story.
Yeah.
So I can see Bryce Harper snatch and they're going, give me that mom.
Right. Like, I know a lot needs to happen between now and the end of the World Series for that to happen.
Right.
But it's not something that's impossible. That's for sure.
No doubt. And on the final topic, because we've been rambling here, I'm going to say something that's a bit concerning to me, should be a bit concerning to you if you're a Yankee fan. That Judge injury is more serious than I think they're letting on. Just get the sense that they're not being all the way truthful about what's going on with him.
No. You about to have Yankee fans in here asking, yo, but what you mean? What you know? Because well, we know ain't all that bad just yet, but that's the point.
Just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But just think about this. I know the UCL's intact for now. But what if he got to make a throw in the playoffs in a pressure-packed situation and the arm just goes? The arm don't hurt where it hurt him just because we just sitting here playing around. There was something bothering him before then. He didn't say nothing because he's like, nah, I get through it. This is the same team that let Mark Leiter go pitch 3 extra games with a broken leg. This is the same team that let Jason Dominguez stay on the field 7 more days after he tore his UCL. So the Yankees are not the most forthright when it comes to medical information. I'm telling you right now, I think this injury is worse than the Yankees are saying. I think it's because they know that if we say he's done for the season, there goes the ratings, there goes the tickets, there goes the this, and there goes the that.
And also, not to really stir the pot, but again, these are things that are possible. May not happen now, but we still have a lot of baseball left between now and the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that it actually heals properly to the point where you can put him back in right field?
Yeah,
because there's also a scenario where maybe it doesn't heal properly. And yes, he could come back, but now he can only be your DH. Now what do you do with Stanton? Because you can't put Stanton out there.
By the way, they had Stanton doing drills in right field, and I thought, I give it a game and a half before he pulls a hamstring, tears
I
a
don't even
quad.
want to see it. I don't even want to see it. That's exactly why I just said what I said. You know, if you're a Yankees fan, you really got to be holding on to the edge of your seat
Right.
because this could really go either way.
No, if you can, and if you're the Yankees, you have to this. There has to be some self-preservation involved. Um, and it's like you have to be willing to um have a conversation about what's the next step for him, what's appropriate for him,
Mm-hmm.
what's appropriate for us going forward, because he's going to be 35. He's 34, 35, one of the two.
Right.
34. He's not getting any younger. We got to have a conversation of what this looks like if he continues to play right field.
Yeah. Well, he's 33. He's next year he'll be 34.
Going to be 34, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough spot to be in if you're the Yankees. Also, by the way, this is a great point by Rick. It needs to be purged extensively. Cash and Boone included. That organization is.
Damn.
All right, stop that. Stop that. They've made the playoffs. They've been competitive. You can't say things like that when the Wilpons made the playoffs every 100 years. So I'm not going to let you do that. That is when you get a stop. Full on stop. This team was just in the World Series last year. And you as a former Met fan should know what good baseball is and what bad baseball is. They're not worse than the Wilpons. Stop that right now.
Well,
that is insane.
from my understanding, I could be wrong, but I think what Rick is getting at is the fact that Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone always get a tap on their shoulder, right? Regardless of whatever it is that they may do. That's my interpretation of it. But
here's what I'm going to tell you, though. Then that's not a Hal and Cash problem. That's a Hal Steinbrenner problem. Which is why I'm going to say this for the record. They've made enough money where winning is no longer the modus operandi for how they do their business. They're fine with whatever happens. And I'm fine with it. But it's like, you're going to sit there and look at this and go, they wasted this man's prime.
Yeah.
But this is not the first time in Yankees history they've done this. They did it to Mattingly. Okay. They did it to Dave Winfield. Okay. They've done this to teams and players and situations. Like, they've done this. In the 80s, they were bad. I'm not saying this is 80s level bad, but they're not the Yankees they used to be. And this is why I don't get upset with the Cashman and Hal and whole dynamic anymore, because I understand this is what it is.
But you do know, not for us, right? But you do know that that whole World Series or bust moniker is back, especially after they made it to the World Series last year. I know for a while, between last season, dating back to 2009, a lot of people were really holding on to that for dear life.
No, you can't. But
it got to a point where you had to jump off the ship, right? Especially when it was regarding that. Right. But not just that. Again, as I mentioned, they finally got back there. So there's no more holding on to the amount of championships that they won over the years. The dynasty of the late 90s, the early 2000s.
Yep.
Like, people are now living in the present, and they're on some like, well, what you mean it's not World Series a bust? We were just there last season.
Boone is not too stubborn. Boone is doing what the front office tells him to do. I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time. Aaron Boone has no say on what happens on that field. Brian Cashman and his IT squad determine everything you see what happens on that field.
Yo, IT squad is crazy because that's true.
So we need to stop blaming Aaron Boone like Aaron Boone is the problem. Aaron Boone, sometimes I feel bad for the dude. Because it's like, yo, what do you want me to say? The reason why I got the job is so that I'm carrying the water for the organization that they asked me to carry. They fired Joe Girardi because he didn't want to carry the water no more. They fired Joe Torre because he said, yeah, on the way out, kiss my ass. I ain't doing that.
I do agree with you. And I think something that really stands out with Aaron Boone and his time with the Yankees thus far is he's not going to do what some of these old school managers did, you know? Like, he's not going to go out there post-game interview and drag Volpe by the neck.
Right.
You know, he's not going to go out there and tell you the truth when it comes to Aaron Judge's injury.
He can't.
It's just not going to happen. Right.
So, for example, here's the reality of it. Did you ever hear the story when Brian Cashman went on the Michael Kay show and said he can make his own in-game adjustments, but if it fails, he better be able to tell me and the staff why he did what he did.
He better be ready to say sorry.
Not sorry, but I want an explanation why you chose to do what you do.
Right.
And here's the problem. Teams that have worked like that, they don't win World Series. The Rays have not won a World Series.
Mm-hmm.
It's the truth of the matter is they don't. But I don't think they care, right? Like I don't think
they don't.
I don't think the drive for them to be as great as they once were is there, because the son's a finance major. Hal's a money guy. You know, Hank and George were, at all costs, doesn't matter what we got to do. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to go about it.
Yeah. You know what I hate too, man? And I don't want to sound like, the old guy saying this, but I remember the days when franchise player, like when teams were scuffling and the franchise player was still doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
We saw guys like Jordan do it. We saw guys like Jeter do it. We saw guys like Kobe do it. Like, bro, if you were on some BS long enough, like these were dudes who would call you out. Like, forget Cashman, forget Boone. Like, I'll do it my damn self.
The players would.
We don't live in that world anymore,
That's because
everybody's on some like, I'm showing up. I'm playing my position. I'm gonna play 9 innings of Major League Baseball, and I'm out.
Right? Yeah. I'm getting a check, and that's it. And so at that point,
because I would love. And this is a dream, right? But I would love to read a story where it comes out Aaron Judge did to one of his teammates what Rob Manfred and Bryce Harper went through earlier today. Yo, get the fuck out of here. Like, we're not waiting for Cashman. We ain't waiting for Boone. I'm telling you to leave.
we're doing this right now.
I wish, man. But, those days are long gone.
Dylan Cease just got hit in the back of the head by a pitch.
Holy cow. Damn, hopefully he's good. Because we don't got to be worrying how we were earlier about Suarez.
Yo, get these guys off the field.
He looks like he'll be all right to be traded, though.
Field, bro.
Because that's what matters this week, Rick.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. That's insane. All right, bro. We're going to wrap this up. We'll be back here Thursday night.
Thursday night, 9 p.m.
I might be a zombie by the time y'all see me Thursday night, but it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, after that, you'll be able to go into a deep sleep, bro. Especially once we end that show on Thursday. And I don't think it's going to be as long as this one because we have a lot to, uncover tonight. But obviously, there's a lot of time, between now and that next show. And who knows what could happen because there's still a lot of chatter, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you, all of you, for stopping by. Shrek, Sox Fan for Life, TD, Rodney, Gilbert, Rick, D-Rails. If I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry in advance. But make sure you guys put your post notifications on so that you are fully aware of this week's second episode, which again, Thursday night, 9 p.m., 3 hours after that trade deadline. We'll be here to unfold all of that and more. And until next time, this was fun.
You know what I mean? It's should be a fun time. And hopefully we get some deals to talk about. Hopefully not many that day, though. Because I got a feeling there's going to be avalanche that Thursday, and I'm going to be inundated. You're going to look.
Well, the coast is clear now, right? Because before we leave, guys, I said something earlier. And Steph thought I was like jinxing it a bit. And I understand it, right? Because, coming into tonight's show, we had a couple of things that we wanted to address, right? Then we found out about Emmanuel Clase and the Guardians. Then we found out about, Bryce Harper basically giving Rob Manfred the finger, get the hell out of my clubhouse. So we had to include those things because, those aren't topics that you could just gloss over, right? You got to really get into that stuff. But the one thing that I did say, and it didn't happen. The coast is clear. I was like, yo, maybe a deal happens while we are actually live tonight doing the show. But it didn't happen. So there's
Thank God. Thank
and then
God.
it's not like it's gonna happen Thursday night because at that point the dust has already settled, and the only
Right.
thing that we could focus on is the baseball that is left to play. Here in the second half.
Yeah. All right, guys. This was fun. Thank you guys for tapping in with us. We know we ran a little longer than usual, but we had a lot of topics to get to. We will see you guys on Thursday night. I'm out of here. I'm probably gonna go back to work on the iPad and on the phone and on the computer, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.